Welcome to the Vanilla to Vixen podcast. This show contains adult content, so if you are under 18 or easily offended, please switch off now. Mr. and Mrs. N are not qualified relationship counsellors. This show is for entertainment purposes only. Now the disclaimer is out of the way, sit back, relax, and enjoy our journey from Vanilla to Vixen.
Welcome to episode 105 of Vanilla to Vixen. We are your hosts, Mr. and Mrs. N, also known as
the Naughty Couple.
Well, hello, Mrs. N.
Hello, Mr. N.
We have another action-packed episode.
We do.
Today we're talking about something, it's a subject which is quite interesting. We've mentioned a certain phrase in the past, in episodes, talking about getting out of your head.
Yes.
Haven't we?
Yes.
But we've never sort of really gone into detail and described what sort of being in your head feels like.
Yeah, absolutely.
A lot of people wouldn't want to be in my head. All sorts of strange things happen there. It's a weird combination of racing car Ford stripes and all sorts of weird mechanical things combined with...
Trains.
Trains?
Yeah.
Trains.
You used to talk about trains in your sleep.
Never.
You have. You have.
I don't know where this sudden thing's come from. I remember coming round from anaesthetic once talking about Ford stripes on a bonnet of a Ford.
Yeah, you did.
But other than that, I don't remember anything about locomotives.
Yes, no, you were. It was in your sleep. You shouted out about trains.
I don't remember any of that. I think you're making it up.
I think it was that time when you were looking at buying an old train carriage.
Oh, and turning it into a club.
Yeah.
Yes. And I can't remember what we were going to call it. What were we going to call that?
Oh, I don't know. We had a really cool name for it and everything, didn't we? But...
Oh, no, now it's going to drive me mad now thinking about that. Anyway, on to episode 105, and we've got lots to talk about. And talking of which, have you heard about the magic penis?
No.
Oh, this is very interesting, you know. I mean, obviously, we sell lots of sex toys on vanillatovixen.co.uk.
Nicely done, dear.
I know, but we don't sell the magic penis.
Okay.
And there's good reason. There's good reason for that. So a businessman was preparing to go on a long business trip. So he thought he'd buy his wife something to keep her occupied while he was away.
Yeah.
So he went to the sex shop. It wasn't ours.
That was his first mistake.
Exactly, you see. And he explained the situation, and he said to the man, he said, well, I don't know if I have anything that will keep your wife occupied for so many weeks apart from the magic penis. And the husband says, the what? And the man repeated, it's the magic penis. And he pulled out what looked like an ordinary dildo.
Right.
And the husband thinks to himself, he's trying to have me here. And he laughs and says, that's just a dildo. And the man in the shop, he pointed to the door and he said, magic penis, door. And quicker than a flash, the penis jumps out the box, darted to the door, and starts pounding away at the keyhole. And the whole door shakes wildly with vibrations, so much so that a crack starts coming down the middle of the door. And the man says, wow, that is quite impressive. And the shop's owner says, magic penis, return to the box. And the penis jumps in the box, just lays there still. And the husband says, well, I'll take that, that's brilliant. So he takes it home to his wife. And after the husband has been gone a few days, the wife remembered the magic penis. And she undressed, opened the box and said, magic penis, my vagina. And sure enough, the magic penis jumps up, jumps to a crotch, and it was absolutely incredible. And after 3 mind-shattering orgasms, she becomes very exhausted and decides she's had enough now. But she tries to pull it out, and it's stuck. And her husband forgot to tell her what to do to get it back in the box.
Oh, no.
I know. You see, cliffhanger. And so she goes, oh, God. So she gets her clothes on, gets in a car, and starts driving to the nearest hospital. But on the way, it's still going for it. So she has an orgasm and drives all over the road. Police officer sees this, of course, and immediately pulls her over, and he asks us for a licence, and then asked her how much she'd had to drink. And gasping and twitching, the woman said, I haven't had anything to drink, officer. You see, I've got this magic penis stuck in my crotch, and it won't stop screwing me. The officer looks at her and says, yeah, right, magic penis my arse.
No!
And the rest is history.
That was a good one.
There you go. You see, now you know all about the magic penis. You learn lots of things on this show.
Can I just say, it's incredibly warm in here today.
It's sweltering.
Yes, I'm a little moist already.
And the sun makes you feel horny. It's scientific, isn't it?
I was Googling this because it's a well-known fact for people that know me, that know that I get a little bit horny when the weather's nice. I do get horny in the sun. And I suddenly thought to myself, I wonder why that is, because I've spoken to other people about this and they've all said the same thing.
Yes.
So I thought, I wonder if there is like a scientific reason.
Okay, I'm sure you've found it.
I have actually. And funny enough, the Daily Mail actually wrote an article about it. I know how much you love the Daily Mail.
Yeah, and the legacy media. I get all my... Everybody knows I get all my news now from Twitter X, from Elon. I just go on there, send him a little tweet.
So apparently, exposure to sunlight boosts your sexual hormones.
Oh, okay.
So a study has revealed. Getting out in the sun can boost your libido, according to a new study that found more exposure to sunlight releases higher levels of sexual hormones.
Do they say what they are?
Well, researchers at Tel Aviv University exposed 32 adults to different levels of ultraviolet radiation from sunlight while quizzing them about how horny they were feeling. When they were asked to avoid sunlight for 2 days and then sunbathe for 25 minutes, both the male and female volunteers were more sexually excited. They also discovered that UV exposure boosts levels of sexual hormones and also increases testosterone levels in men, making them more aggressive.
So,
I don't think the sun doesn't make you aggressive. You get quite happy when you're out in the sunshine.
Depends if you drive in, I suppose.
Well,
driving in the sun, you get fed up. The loonies come out driving in the sun. I know, it's true.
But but it also says that you have to be careful about too much exposure to the sun.
Oh, then you get burnt helmet.
And you don't want that, do you?
No, I had that. Well, not burnt helmet, but I got burnt to buggery on the honeymoon.
Oh, you did?
Yes, all those years ago.
You were like a squishy.
That was not much fun.
It wasn't. No, so apparently you produce more vitamin D when you're in the sun.
So it's vitamin
and then
D.
This leads to increased levels of testosterone.
Do you think taking vitamin D supplements makes your libido higher?
That's a good question, actually. I don't know.
Could be interesting.
You maybe have to have a certain level, don't you?
Maybe.
So, but there is a big thing at the moment saying that people are not getting enough vitamin D. So yes, get out there in the sun.
Don't miss the summer. This lunchtime.
It'll make you horny.
And talking of the summer,
yes.
That was a nice link.
It was, wasn't it? Smooth.
It's the big V2V summer party on August the 10th.
It is the day after some certain person's birthday.
It's my birthday weekend. I've mentioned this before. It's my birthday weekend on August the 10th, and we're doing the big V2V summer party on Saturday. It's going to be obviously at Liberty Elite.
It is.
We have got an awesome DJ.
Yes.
We have really, really got a cool DJ. And hopefully, fingers crossed, if Mr. Sunshine plays his part.
Yeah, we all have to manifest that it's got to be really sunny that day.
We've got him outside on the lawn.
Yeah, so it's going to be outside disco.
And we're going to wire it through. I've worked out how to do this. We're going to wire it through so it's in the club and outside on the lawn all in one go. So couples and single ladies, because it's Saturday, just couples and single ladies, bring your beach picnic blankets with you.
Yes.
On the lawn. Top DJ.
Yeah.
And anyone's been to the Liberty Elite knows they've kind of almost got like 2 lawns at the back.
Yeah.
They've got one lawn and then kind of a big pathway going to the private accommodation.
Yeah.
And then on the other side, they've got another lawn. So I was thinking, we can't just let that lawn be free. It's the beach party. So I looked to a couple of films for inspiration.
Right.
Found one of my favourite films.
Which is?
Top Gun.
Ooh.
Thought to myself, Goose and Maverick.
Yeah.
At Liberty Elite.
Yeah. I'm excited.
On the lawn, beach volleyball.
Okay.
Then, Chardonnay.
Yes.
Club owner says to me, you do realise that grass is built on, it's hardcore right underneath it.
It's not very soft, is it?
It's not a very soft lawn. So no diving.
Yeah, we don't recommend it. Well, not that sort of diving anyway.
Do certain other kind of diving. If you want to do that kind of dive, go dive down. If you want to doth venture south. But not volleyball diving.
No, otherwise you may get stoned.
Yeah. Yeah. No, nobody wants to call an ambulance to a swingers club.
I mean, I did mention, maybe people might like to do naked volleyball.
So, I thought, bare as you dare.
Yeah.
Volleyball. We could even play strip volleyball.
Oh, we could.
So, and I've bought a full, I don't mean like one of these little shitty family beach things which are about like a metre long. I've bought a freaking full-size, massive, double-length volleyball net, kit, court. I've bought a whole volleyball court.
Anybody that knows you, Mr. N, knows you don't do things by halves.
I'm not allowed to chalk out any lines on the lawn.
No.
Chardonnay's told me that.
Yeah, and you're not allowed to have hard ball.
She's told me I've got to remain soft.
You have to remain soft
throughout the whole activity.
Yeah, we don't want any accidents.
She says, I don't want anything broken and I don't want anything hard penetrating the club. That's what she said to me.
Oh, so yes, and not only that, if the weather is good, there may also be a cocktail bar.
Wow.
Outside
cocktail. This party's going to be huge.
It's epic. It's going to be absolutely epic.
We've got ice pops.
We've got ice. Yeah, we didn't we decided. I'll try that again. We decided not to do the ice cream this year after Mr. Whippy got quite.
Nobody wants a pot of cream.
No, well. I don't know what to say to that, but anyway, so we're having ice poles this year, aren't we?
So we've got ice poles on the lawn.
Yeah.
Whilst you can watch Bare As You Dare strip volleyball.
Plus DJ.
Yeah.
And hopefully, cocktail bar.
Cocktail bar.
Yeah.
Strip volleyball.
It's going to be awesome, isn't it?
I even went on Pornhub and Googled naked volleyball.
Did you?
I could not understand the rules. I could not make head and tails of the rules. They just seem to end up rogering each other.
Oh, really? Not sure that's in the rules.
Well,
but...
I don't think Pornhub's the best place to go to
probably not.
Learn sporting rules and regulations. It wasn't very educational.
No.
It was in another way, but
we did have a question the other day about dress code. With it being beach party theme.
Yes.
And somebody said, is it still in line with Lib's dress code?
Libs always lets people bend the rules when there is a theme.
Yeah, special event, yes.
For instance, Halloween, people come dressed up as zombies and things, so you don't have to wear smart shoes.
No, exactly.
If you're dressed as a zombie. Likewise, you don't have to obviously wear... smart collared shirts.
Yes, that's what I was going to say, because we always say for the men, don't we, that you have to have a collared shirt on. But obviously with our theme, you can come in your mankini if you want.
Oh my goodness me.
Speedos, get those Speedos out, get your budgie smugglers going.
Oh my goodness. If you come in Speedos, just make sure the S doesn't fall off. Get kicked out.
Exactly. So yes, full beach party theme. So whatever you would wear to a beach, feel free.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So that is on August the 10th. The guest list, I've got to say, is massive already.
It is ridiculously massive.
We've literally got a few couple spaces left.
Yes.
On the guest list. So you better give us a call.
Exactly. If you don't want FOMO,
you will. You'll have FOMO.
You will have FOMO.
So you can contact us via email, naughtykouple, which is naughthycp1 @yahoo.com, or you can message us on Fab Swingers, and we are Naughty Couple, spelled naughthycp1. Send us a message if you're a couple and single lady and you want to come to the big, it's not small, it's the big summer beach party at Liberty Elite.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome.
It is.
Also, talking of parties and events and things, Mr. N.
Yeah.
Last week it was Curiosity.
I know, it was good fun.
It was a really, really good afternoon.
It was really good
It's
fun.
starting to build, isn't it? So people are starting to get to know the event now. And I mean, what a lovely way to spend your Sunday afternoon.
So, for anyone that's not been to a Curiosity, who's curious about Curiosity,
I like that.
This is a club night. This is not a party. This is not a hosted event. It's a club event. It's on Sunday afternoon, as you said, 2:00 until 8:00, but reception closes at 4.
Yeah.
So it means you have to get there in the afternoon between 2:00 and 4:00. This is an event that's open to single guys, single ladies, and couples.
Yeah.
And it's a bi-friendly event, meaning that if you want to explore and just be curious, there's ladies on ladies, there's guy on guy action.
Yeah.
So basically it means don't start getting upset if you see guy on guy action in there. It does not mean you will be jumped upon by members of the same sex. It's exactly the same rules as all the other nights at Liberty Elite.
Yeah.
So, basically, you know, you have to ask before you touch anyone. You could come to this event absolutely with no expectations, no pressure on you whatsoever. There's lots of straight sex happening as well, isn't there?
Yeah.
I mean, we see lots of couple on couple action and everything, but don't be upset if you see bi-curious play as well.
No, absolutely. But it's such a lovely, chilled atmosphere.
And to my knowledge, it's the only bi event on a Sunday afternoon.
Yeah.
So that's quite unique to Liberty Elite. So I think this is going to grow. In more ways than one.
Pardon the pun. But yeah, it is. It's building nicely. And I have to be honest, I was actually working on reception that day, wasn't I?
Yeah, so for anybody that doesn't know, Mrs. N has just started training for her reception job at Liberty Elite. She's helping out. She's helping out.
I am.
And you're taking all the details.
Yeah, so you never know. You might get to see me on reception. The one thing I found really difficult was not hugging people. Because obviously I'm behind the screen and it's like I can't hug everyone, and it just felt really strange. So I then literally, when I'd finished my reception duties, I went off to find everybody so I could give them all a big cuddle.
You're only there for like 2 hours.
I know.
2:00 till 4:00, and then you're in the main club.
Exactly.
And we're sort of waltzing around, and it's brilliant.
It's such a lovely afternoon event. It really is. It's one of my favourites.
But I'm not used to showing people the playrooms, and there's daylight kind of coming through the curtains.
It definitely gives a different atmosphere, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
To an evening event.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you've not been to a Curiosity before, and you fancy giving it a go, then I believe the next one is September.
I
is
think
it?
the next one is September.
September. So
yes.
yeah, keep a lookout on the Libs website, and it'll tell you when the next one is.
That's libertyelite.co.uk, and just go into the events diary.
Yes.
You can see all the events in there.
Absolutely.
I think it's about time for the main event.
Yes. I'm looking forward to this.
Talking about sex in your head. So, yes, this all stemmed from talking to a couple who were talking about their sort of nerves going into the naughty hobby, and we all still get really, really nervous at times.
Yeah, absolutely.
It doesn't matter if you've been swinging for 6 months, 6 weeks, 6 years, 6 decades. There's a few couples out there. And we often talk about don't get in your own head.
Yeah.
And that's one of Roxy's favourite sayings.
It is.
But we've never kind of really described what being in your own head is, feels like, and how it can happen.
Yeah.
So we thought we'd talk about that today, because it has happened to both of us.
It has.
On occasion.
Yeah.
So back in the 1960s, there was a huge sort of sexual revolution. And do you remember we watched a programme on Netflix, I think it was.
Yeah.
With a guy, the real guy's name was called William Masters, and his assistant was called Virginia Johnson.
Yes.
And I think he originally hired her just almost as a secretary type person to take calls, make notes and administration. But she kind of became his scientific assistant, didn't she?
She did. Yes,
on the course.
Did. Yes.
And it was kind of, they discovered that women had orgasms.
Yes.
For the first time. It's hard to believe, isn't it?
It is really.
That only in the 1960s that it actually became scientific fact that women had orgasms.
That's weird, because obviously we've grown up, you know, we get taught it in sex education classes and stuff like that. But before that, it makes you think, what did women think was happening to them when they were having orgasms and they didn't know what they were?
They probably just call it a turn.
A turn?
I'm having a turn. I don't know. But it was a brilliant programme.
It was.
Who was the guy who starred in it?
Martin Sheen.
That's the one. It was really, really good. Was it a series? I think
yes, it is a series. Do you want to know the name of it?
I do.
It's called Masters of Sex.
That's the one, Masters of Sex. I think it's still on.
It is still on. I think they've reran it actually recently.
And the reason we're talking about this is because it goes back to the 1960s, and they coined a term called spectatoring.
Right.
And it's universal. It happens to everybody all over the place. And obviously spectatoring can increase performance anxiety. So obviously for guys, that's not good if you're trying to get an erection.
Yeah.
And it's sort of having sex with brand new people for the first time. It almost takes you back to your first time having sex, doesn't it? Yeah,
well, yeah, it does. And like I say, it doesn't matter how long you've been in the naughty hobby. Because if you're meeting new people and stuff, it's like doing it again for the first time. Because you've got to learn about the other person and find out what pushes their buttons. And I've got quite a funny story of the first time I lost my virginity.
Go on then.
So I was very young. Not as young as a lot of people. I suppose I was quite late, actually. I was 18, which is quite old.
Most people have already know all about this, have read the book.
I know that, yes, I know. And I remember talking about it with my boss at work.
Yeah.
And I remember her telling me stories about, you know, when she had sex and stuff. And she used to say, oh, you lie back, you think of England. She says, and I sit there sometimes and I think about what I'm going to have for tea. And the awful thing is obviously the first time I had sex, her words were in my head. And so that's what I was thinking about at the time.
Okay.
Which for the poor guy, bless him, was probably not what he was expecting me to be thinking about. But it does make you know...
It's a classic case, isn't it? If you're given... I mean, that advice, I would describe in today's lifestyle, it isn't particularly great advice.
No,
is
not
it?
at all.
Just lie back and think of something else.
Yeah.
That is not good advice.
No.
Especially for somebody on their first time. And so, yeah, it's the same as swinging, that it can take you back to your first time. And it's very, very easy to, as described, spectatoring, which is basically you looking at yourself having sex.
Yeah.
Almost like a third person. And of course, the minute you start to do that and think, well, am I doing this right? How do I look? How does my body look? Oh my God, you can see my fat bits.
Yeah.
Everybody has these insecurities.
Yeah.
And once you do that, you're instantly thinking about that not what is actually going on.
Yeah. Also, there are people out there as well that are probably not as animated as other people. And so, for example, if I'm performing an act of certain things and I'm not sort of getting any reaction back, I'm already in my own head going, they're not enjoying this. What am I doing wrong? Have I lost my touch? It just doesn't seem to be as horny as you expect it to be. Yeah. So that's very difficult. It's so easy, isn't it, to get inside your own head?
Absolutely. And anxiety, to get more in the moment, you have to let parts of your brain associated with stress deactivate. And so you've got to redirect those thoughts. And that's the secret to getting out of your head. And so part of the study suggested, how do you do this? So you look at sensation.
Okay.
And we often talk about sensation play.
Yeah.
So when you lose, one part of your sensory deprivation, if you're wearing a mask or something like that, you're suddenly aware that other parts of your body you can feel more.
Yeah.
If somebody's touching you.
It heightens, doesn't it?
It does. It heightens your other senses. So you've got to, although you're not probably wearing a mask or anything like that, if you're not doing any kink play, if you're just lying there and you're suddenly aware that you're thinking about your own body and sort of, oh God, she's not enjoying this or he's not enjoying this, then it's a case of relaxing and just learning to feel the sensations that are happening to you at the time.
Yeah.
So if you're naked, just feel what their skin feels like against yours. If you're kissing, what do their lips feel like, and ask yourself these questions.
That's really good tips, that is, because when we've played on the big bed before,
yeah,
sometimes you get a little bit, and I've heard other people talk about this, where a lot of people are quite scared of the big bed because they think, there's a lot of people on there.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't want to be accidentally touched by somebody. So you're not as relaxed as you should be.
I always say to people, when you see the big open playroom, I think Liberty Elite's quite unique, and it has a big open playroom.
Yeah.
Which is amazing, because I say to couples who are there for the first time, you can go there and you can enjoy the sexy atmosphere, the sexy environment for the first time, watching others have sex.
Yeah.
And if you're on one of the double beds, I almost call it like a little island, because you've got space, people can walk around or whatever, but you're not directly attached to the nakedness that is in front of you.
No.
But on the big bed, you've got somebody right next to you.
Yeah. But a good example is where I've usually been, I'm a little bit frightened of the big bed and I'm very much aware of what's around me. There was an incident once where you and I were playing and we were lying on the big bed, and right next to us was another couple that was playing, and I suddenly forgot about where I was and concentrated on what this other couple was doing. Found it one of the most erotic things ever. And
that is the advice that's given.
Exactly.
So you became out of your own head and you're suddenly in the moment.
Yeah.
And living in the moment and enjoying the sex that's going on around you.
I mean, you could also sort of talk to people, because once I'm kind of into it, I do like to sort of say things. And I suppose if you're in your head thinking, I'm not sure whether they're enjoying this or am I doing it right?
Yeah.
Ask. Ask them if it's okay.
Yeah.
Does that feel nice?
Yeah.
Would you like me to do something? That kind of stuff. And then you're kind of back in that moment with the person rather than in your own head.
And if you could see that the other person's anxious or looks like they're full of anxiety, that, I suppose, helps them to bring them out of their own head.
Yeah.
Because you're asking them, you're responding to things, how does this feel? You're getting them to say what their feelings are and what they're feeling during that moment.
Yeah. I mean, there's loads of different scenarios in when you're in the kind of a playroom or you're in a club or a swinging environment or something, because you could have started the evening off by meeting somebody, chatting away. There might have been a bit of flirting going on. So that's already starting to build up. And then you decide you're going to go off and play. So you're almost halfway there. But then there are occasions where it happens that you kind of don't get that bit in the beginning. It just kind of spontaneously happens.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you're just like, oh, well, we've just kind of gone straight into this.
I mean, even when we've spoken to couples and it's been a slow build-up, and I think of one really, really hot couple in particular, you're with a brand new person for the first time, and you're aware that you don't know what sex is like for them.
Yeah.
You don't know how they like it. Do they like it rough? Do they like it hard? Do they, And we talk about communication. We've spoken about this before. It's about communication between you as a couple, but also with the people that you're playing with.
Yeah.
And so it's always best. You'll always have better sex with better communication before the act itself.
It's true. And also during, somebody speaks to me during in a sexy way, that really gets me going. And vice versa, you start to say things to people, and it's all of a sudden it builds, and your attention is drawn into what's happening in front of you, rather than you starting to think about what are they doing behind me or in front of me, or what's going on in that area and stuff. So,
but people can easily be intimidated, and as I've said before, we've played with people where I've looked at them and gone, oh my God, you are a really, really hot person. And all of a sudden you can then be aware of your own body and your own insecurities. And right then and there, the minute you start thinking like that, you're in your own head.
Yeah.
And so you've got to kind of recognise the signals so you don't go down that spiral of ruining the situation for yourself.
Yeah.
Because that's all it is. The other person won't, but 9 times out of 10, the other person will not be bothered. And trust me, you look 10 times better than you think you do.
Yeah.
And so if they're enjoying it and they're in the moment, but you're full of anxiety, you're going to stutter that. The only person that's stuttering that is you.
That's right.
You're stopping that.
Yeah. I mean, you've always said, haven't you, that a lot of your sexual thing, whatever you call it, is in your brain. You like to be spoken to. You like people to say things.
The biggest organ for sex is the brain.
Yeah.
The sexiest organ is the brain. It all happens in there.
Yeah.
With past experiences, they live with us, they stay with us. And so this is why people have different kinks.
Yeah.
So it's about kind of sharing that before you go into the moment and telling people what you like, what you don't like.
Well, I mean, I remember when we first met and we first started to fantasize, and that was a whole new experience for me. And if you've got quite a good imagination, then that is a massive turn on, because we would fantasize and all of a sudden I'd be playing this like scenario in my head, and then that would then make me feel even more hornier, which would then reciprocate onto you, and then we'd have a massive good time.
I think as you go along as well, and this is something you learn as you go along, especially in clubs, that if you could see a couple and you could chat to them, and if the sexual chemistry is not there, and here's where it's like, you'll see a lot of things written on people's bios, they're after quality, not quantity.
Yeah.
And if you don't click sexually, they can be the hottest looking people, but if you don't click sexually, chatting with them and sharing your thoughts, sharing your emotions on what you're about to experience, if they're a couple that are really into rough sex and they tell you that blatantly at the beginning and you still go into it, but you're not into that, you're not setting yourself up for the best experience.
No, not at all.
And so it's about finding that couple that you click with.
Yeah.
Or person that you click with.
Yeah. I mean, this is a whole other myth buster, isn't it? That I think a lot of people that aren't in the naughty hoppy, who have that preconceived idea of what swingers are, and the fact that they think that they just shag anything that moves. Yeah. And actually, it's so far from the truth, really, because you want that connection. You want to have that ultimate experience, not just to...
And here's where the big difference between online social media sites such as Fab Swingers, I'm using Fab as an example because it's probably one of the biggest, most open forums for the naughty hobby.
Yeah.
So you'll get people that will literally be at home. They'll have watched X Hamster or Pornhub. They'll have watched porn and instantly associate a swingers to them stroke sex club.
Yeah.
They'll instantly just think that and see that as an orgy or a sex club. It's where you go to have sex, and that's not necessarily the case.
No.
Yes, sex is predominantly what fires the place up, what fires the furnaces. But it's not all about sex. It's about connections and socialising and finding people that you click with.
Yeah.
And so that's the huge difference between Fab. And I'm sure there are thousands of couples out there, and I'd love to hear from people where they've perhaps been put off from going to a club because they've signed up to something like Fab Swingers. They've just put their name and details in. You don't even have to put photos in when you first start.
No.
So they've probably just put their details in, clicked on it, and especially if they're a couple or a female, they've probably then been inundated with the single males that don't understand what the lifestyle's all about. And they've probably thought, oh, sod this. Sod this for a packet of biscuits, I'm going home. and instantly just come off of it and thought, that's not for us.
No.
But they've not given it the full go. They've not given it, a proper chance.
There's so much more to it, isn't there, than literally just sex.
And I think the difference is now between online forums such as Fab, such as Spicy Match, and the real life experiences of a club are becoming more and more divided. I think clubs are booming. I think that, there's more and more people attending clubs every week now. And how often do we hear couples where they say, well, we don't do private meets anymore?
Yeah.
And perhaps they do private meets with people they've already met.
Yes.
In clubs.
Yeah.
But they don't initially meet people that they've not already met at clubs.
No, exactly.
And so that's quite interesting.
Yeah. Well, do you know a few couples that they seem to like the private party route as well? I've spoken to a couple of couples.
Yeah.
That where initially their thought was, I'm not sure about a private party. And I must admit, I think that was my reaction. But then they've been and they've said it was actually one of the sexiest things that they'd ever done, and they really recommend it.
I suppose a private party, going to a club or an establishment, you've got that security that it's enforced, hopefully, if it's a good club, by rules, by regulations, by safety regulations. Whereas if you're rocking up to somebody's house, you've not got that.
No.
You've not got the security of the hygiene and everything else that hopefully is taking place in a proper establishment such as a club or a hotel. Plus,
the other thing I like about being at a club is if you want a sort of a bit of a time out, that there are, you can go off and... Not all clubs. Well, not all clubs, but...
I suppose here's why it's important to do your research when you visit or decide to visit your very first club.
Yeah.
Because not all clubs are the same. You've got dressed down clubs. You've got clubs where you can just play anywhere.
Yeah.
So some of those clubs you haven't got the thing that you've just spoke of. You're very spoiled, Mrs. F.
I know I am. I know I'm incredibly spoiled.
So we obviously mostly attend Liberty Elite.
Yeah.
We also attend clubs like Mamba, which also has places where you don't, it's a no play area.
Yeah.
But there are other clubs where there's just play everywhere.
Yeah.
So it's so important to find the right place for your kink, your dynamic, and how you want your night to go.
I mean, it's great that there's different types of clubs out there because everybody is different and everybody has different kinks and what they enjoy. So it's always good to try out different clubs to work out which one is your thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I mean, even now, like we talked last week and a few weeks ago we talked about swingathon and festivals, and they're becoming bigger now.
Yeah.
There's now 2 or 3 camping events for swingers and caravanners. There's just one for caravanners now. You see all the upside down pineapple.
Yes.
And so it's very interesting to see where the industry is going. And I've had discussions with Mr. Horney about this, where he thinks that clubs will either do one or two things. He thinks clubs will either massively expand quite quickly, because more and more people are joining the naughty hobby, or he says the opposite could happen, whereas the younger generation, it's quite normal now for the younger generation to be non-monogamous. So to have just one girlfriend, one boyfriend for some of the younger generation, why do you need to go to a club to do that? Because you can just do it outside. We're a non-monogamous couple. We're poly, and there's 4 of us. We don't need to go to a club to enjoy that. So his theory there is that could render the swingers club obsolete or almost old-fashioned.
Ooh, I'm not sure I could see that.
I don't think so either, because I personally think we're quite a way off from non-monogamy being the norm.
I think because the whole swinging scene is becoming more almost accepted in mainstream. People are learning more about it, and like we've said before, going to a club, it's not just about sex. There's lots of people that go there for socialising, for meeting people, for the safety. Because going out to a nightclub or into a town or something, it does come with an element of risk sometimes.
I think as well, now working alongside Chardonnay and working at Liberty Elite day in, day out, I'm noticing a sort of chain where clubs are now almost following each other. So, there are certain nights, it's now quite normal for clubs to have for instance, some of the clubs call it a BBW night. Some clubs, like Liberty Elite, we call it Dangerous Curves. Other clubs call it different names, but they're body conscious nights. Perhaps, so as BBW stands for Big Beautiful Women, some ladies find that offensive. So other clubs name it different things. But it's basically all the same thing. It's a body conscious night that you don't have to worry everybody's going to be a size 6, or a size 8. And you're going to look or stand out in some way. But that's a wonderful thing, because if that's putting you off going to a club, the fact that you have an insecurity about your body shape, and that's the only thing that's putting you off, then definitely get yourself along to one of those nights, whatever club you choose and you fancy going to, because then you've got that security that you're going to fit in. You're just going to be one of the crowd. Well, that's all we want to be, really.
Exactly. You just want to feel accepted for who you are. And like you say, and not have to worry about being judged or...
Exactly. But it is interesting that clubs seem to be following a trend, and there seems to be like a standard now, and the industry seems to be expanding enough that it's becoming an established part almost of communities. In most cities, in most areas now, with the exception of Cornwall, there are swingers clubs, and I guarantee there will probably be a swingers club within 50 miles of where you are now listening to this.
Unless you're in Ireland.
And unless you live where Mr. and Mrs. Foxy live, because there's nothing within 50 miles.
No, they're in the middle of nowhere, bless them.
But it's very interesting to see where the industry is headed. But it certainly seems to be growing at quite a really rapid rate.
I think there's so many positives to being in the naughty hobby. Such as, like you've just talked about, the body confidence thing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you and I both know my confidence is, it's soared since being in the naughty hobby compared to how I was when we first got into it.
I think it would be naive to say that if we'd just been married, and just had sex with each other for nigh on 20 years, is it now? If we'd have just been married and had sex for 20 years together, I don't think we would have had the confidence that we have sharing sex with other people.
No, absolutely. I'd agree with that.
Because no matter what, when somebody, is attracted to you, and we were at the party at Curiosity on Sunday.
Yeah.
And the most beautiful thing happened. A couple came up to us and were like, do you play? Kind of thing. Or are you just kind of working? And that was like, this is a hot couple. This was a hot couple. And to just have that was so sexy.
Yeah.
Because it's like that, you could see that they'd taken the time and they'd approached us. And I never take that for granted. If someone's taken that big step, and you know how nervous you feel when you come up and approach someone.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, I was pissed off because I was on managerial duties.
We were both working, weren't we? So it was like, oh.
Next time.
Yes. We've done a rain check on that one, haven't we?
We certainly do play when we're at other people's events.
Yeah, but it's like a few weeks ago when we talked about it on the podcast, and I literally went down and grabbed a certain gentleman and took him off upstairs.
Yeah.
I never would have had the confidence to have done that had we not experienced all the things we'd experienced within the naughty hobby.
Absolutely.
I'd have sat there and it would have been one of those, opportunities missed because I just wouldn't have been able to pluck the courage up to do it. And it's and then you go through those whole feelings of disappointment and you feel like, oh, what could have been, and then you get annoyed with yourself for not doing it. And
I think sometimes, especially if you work in a large working environment or even a pub environment.
Yeah.
We almost revert back to school days, don't we? Where you have the cool kids that sit on the back of the bus. You do. And no matter what they say, where we've eliminated bullying in the workspace and all this and that and the other, I'm sure it doesn't happen as much as it did. But you still have the more confident people at work and the less confident people at work.
Yeah.
In a large working environment, and everybody usually knows where they sit within the dynamics of that. I personally think being in the naughty hobby, like you've just said, it does give you that level of acceptance. You feel accepted, and if things happen to you, you have those experiences where a complete strange couple came up to us and obviously liked the look of us and liked the sound of us because we've been talking.
Yeah.
And they wanted to, engage with us in a bit of fun.
That's a huge compliment.
Exactly. And so you take that out, that memory, that experience lives with you, which is why we always say when you go to the club, we straighten each other's crowns and it's a safe place, which makes it such a wonderful experience to be in for 4 or 5 hours.
There was an incident that happened, well, incident's the wrong word, but there was a moment that happened when we were at Dangerous Curves last. And there was a lady that we know particularly well, bless her. She's absolutely gorgeous. We love her and her partner. She dresses down, and I never realised this, and she always dresses down in black because that's what she feels comfortable in. And this particular day, because it was a Dangerous Curves neon party, she decided to wear a brighter colour, and it was like an orangey red dress down thing. And she caught my eye straight away, and I went, "You look amazing." And she said, "Oh, I'm so out of my comfort zone because I don't normally wear bright colours and things." I said, "You should do that more often because it just looks amazing on you."
Yeah.
I mean, where else do you go where people will compliment each other on And it's a very honest compliment as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
You don't say it just for the hell of saying it. You actually mean it when you say it. And that is just, I'd love to be in that environment. I think it's one of the most amazing environments to be a part of.
And I remember on one of our shows, when we had Mr. and Mrs. Foxy on, Mr. Foxy told a story where it carries you beyond the club.
Yeah.
So once you step out the club, and obviously Mr. Foxy, Mr. and Mrs. Foxy, they're really experienced vixens now, the pair of them. And like he said, you carry that with you. And I think he was at a petrol station, I think. And he just said to this random lady,
oh, that's right. Yes, he did. Yeah.
can I just say you look beautiful?
Yeah.
You know, and that's a classic example of him just carrying that past the club.
Yeah.
And you don't have confidence like that, and you wouldn't think like that if you weren't in the naughty hobby.
Do you think, there's a question for you, Mr. N.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that the younger generation now has a certain higher level of confidence in themselves that we didn't have at that age?
No.
Many years ago?
No.
You don't?
I think it's worse.
You think it's worse?
I think,
really?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that.
Do you think it's worse because of exposure to more social media? And
I think social media's changed us massively.
Yeah.
I think COVID came along, and I think social media instills arrogance. It does not instill confidence. Anybody that thinks it does, I will debate you across anywhere, any place, any time. Social media instills arrogance in people. It gives everybody a sense of entitlement because you've got the most powerful thing in front of you, a keyboard.
Yeah.
And the term keyboard warrior.
Yeah.
So somebody posts something on social media and everybody suddenly has an opinion on that. And you can watch, if you look on your social media, arguments can start in public forums on social media over the most ridiculous of things.
Yeah.
I myself, everybody knows, I'm into gaming and cars and music and things like that. I have sit and flicked through and just thought, what the fuck are you talking about? You know, they're arguing between Xboxes, PlayStations, cars, different models, and, you know, EVs and stuff like that, electric vehicles and hybrids, and you wouldn't behave like that to other people in real life.
Yeah.
Some people would.
Yeah, that's true.
But the social media and hiding behind that keyboard, that gives people an arrogance. That's not instilling confidence in people. Go into a club and say to someone, you look beautiful.
Yeah.
What you're wearing is stunning.
Yeah.
That's confidence. That couple that came up to us and went, hey, do you just work here, or are you looking for a good time? Because we're not here for a long time. That is downright sexy, badass confidence.
It is.
Sitting there behind a keyboard, giving your opinion on something, and then when it becomes pressurizing people or shouting your opinion at people, that is arrogance.
Yeah.
And so I believe that, like I've said that, you know, social media and this generation that is literally bottle fed and brought up on social media, that instills an arrogance. I don't mean obviously that everybody in this younger generation is arrogant, but it does base itself on an arrogance.
That's interesting. Plus, also, I've noticed as well, when you're in the club environment and you see people who do have confidence is very, very sexy.
It's the sexiest thing ever.
It is, incredibly. I mean, I remember when I first met you, and you were very confident.
Yeah.
And I found that incredibly attractive.
I will listen to Chardonnay on the phone. So, you know, we man the switchboard between us at Liberty Elite, and I will sit and listen to Chardonnay talk to the guys.
Yeah.
And I can always tell if there's a guy that's a little bit insecure, a little bit, you know, it's his first time. And Chardonnay will always say it's not the best looking guys that do well, if you like.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that you're not doing well if you're not having sexual relations at a club. But the guys that do well are the ones that are confident.
Yeah.
But don't mistake that confidence and arrogance.
Yes, exactly. There's a very fine line, isn't there?
Yeah, absolutely. Somebody going up and going, let's go upstairs, that's probably a bad example. I can't think of anything. Let me give you a moment.
I suppose it's a bit like if a guy came up to me and said, "Oh, I'm here to make your evening the dream evening or something," and it's just like, really.
He was brought up in the 1950s.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. Rather than, there is a very fine line between confidence and arrogance.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, a confident guy is actually a very, very good-looking and sexually attractive guy.
But I agree with what Chardonnay said. A confident guy might not physically be the sexiest guy in the club to all the females.
Yeah.
And also, as well, as we said before, lots of different people have different ideas of what is physically sexy.
Yeah.
You'll get girls that go for the dad bods, girls that like the ripped look.
Yeah.
And what amazes me is we've spoken to a lot of people all in one night, and I can tell you I've spoken to the majority of women as a guy, and I'll go, yeah, but I'm not ripped. And they'll go, yeah, I don't really go for that.
No. There's a lot of girls that don't like it.
I know. But I guarantee in the majority of guys' heads, if you offered 100 guys now, magic genie, rub the magic genie.
You want about your magic penis again?
Yeah. give his head a good rub, and you can be ripped. I would say 99 out of the 100.
I mean,
and the other one's already ripped anyway, so he doesn't.
Don't get me wrong. I like an array. So,
yeah.
It's nice to have somebody that's firm. And it's nice to have somebody that's got... I don't really care. Yeah. I don't really care. But I am more partial to not wanting to play somebody that's really, really ripped, because in my head, my first thing is they're too involved in themselves.
Yeah, and that's not taking anything away from ripped guys.
No, not at all.
Not
at all.
Obviously spend a lot of time on their appearance and like being physically fit.
Yeah.
That is cool. But it is interesting that, as I said, speaking to the majority of women, and I do consider myself very privileged to be in that position where I get to speak to a lot of women who go to swinging clubs.
Yeah.
And it's changed my perception on so many different things.
But it also has for on the other way round, because when women speak to a lot of the guys, in our heads we all assume you want, like you say, size 6, size 8, perfect bodies, no flabby bits, no scars, no nothing. That is so not true.
Absolutely.
There obviously are guys out there that do like, slimmer ladies and stuff, but there's a lot of guys out there that don't.
Yeah. And you only have to go to a night like Dangerous Curves.
Yeah.
Where there'll be a lot of single guys go up to the limit, because they always limit them. It's never unlimited single guys. But, and they will like the fuller figure lady.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think, if anything, that I've learned since attending swingers clubs, I stop seeing people for what they are on the outside. So, and it's more about what they are on the inside. So I don't see people for being big, small, tall, short. You know what I mean? Different colour, anything like. I don't see that. I just see the person.
I think we see it. I think it would be a little bit naive to say that we don't see it. I think we do see it, but it just doesn't matter.
Yes. Yeah. Perfectly said.
I think actually you've hit on something quite interesting there, because in today's society, without getting a little bit too political, you have a generation of people, a younger generation, where we mustn't see anything. We mustn't see colour. We mustn't see this and that and the other. But I probably think, of course we see it. We would lie. If you right now were asked, for instance, to describe Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
Legendary boxer, cool guy.
Yeah.
You would say, yeah, he's a black guy, we all see colour, we see size, we see everything else, but it doesn't matter.
No.
And that is living in true harmony.
Yeah.
Is when it doesn't matter. It's more important what the person is like. If they're a douchebag, then they're a douchebag. But it doesn't matter whether they're a size 6 or a size 8 or whatever. Obviously, then when it comes to sex, that's different. And again, I've seen things on Fab Swingers where couples have written, for instance, I'm giving a pure example here. We're not into Asian guys. Yeah. That's a sexual preference.
Yeah.
A sexual preference is very different to being termed racism. Everybody's entitled to a sexual preference. Yeah. That's what you're physically attracted to.
Yeah.
Some people have a wider spectrum of sexual preferences. Others don't. Others like a specific type. Others might not like me as a fairer-haired person. Yeah. Some people might not like ginger people, and I'm not picking on the ginger people. And, but I've seen couples and people berated for writing their sexual preference down on Fab. Yeah. That's ridiculous. Why are you picking on someone for simply stating what they are sexually attracted to?
I know.
As long as you're kind with it and not... Everybody's entitled to their own sexual preferences. That's the way I see it.
I totally agree with that, Mr. N. Yes.
So, September.
Ooh.
So we've got, obviously, the big summer party.
Yeah.
On the 10th of August.
We have.
September the 14th.
Yeah.
Something else I got into a lot of trouble for.
I know we did, didn't we?
Yes, I did. It was, and is, and forever will be, National Cream-Filled Donut Day.
It is. It's just about donuts. That's it.
But we're kind of expanding. We're expanding because it's going to be a sweet treats party.
Yes, we're calling it sweet treats, aren't we? So
it's going to be awesome.
Not just donuts. There'll be other sweet treats there.
Other cream-filled things.
Yes.
So, again, if you're away on holiday in August or the guest list is full, because it's going to fill up sometime, we will hit capacity. People have been viciously writing in Discord, Mr. N, aren't you near capacity?
That's because they know what you're like.
I know. We're close. So I want to say we're close for August. If you can't mention it, because we are doing a summer of V2V.
We are.
So we've got August and September, which is very, very unusual.
Yes.
So August and September is our National Cream-Filled Donut Day.
I'm so excited about this one.
The guest list is now open.
Yay!
For September. So you can write to us via email, naughtycouple, naughttycp1 @yahoo.com, or on Fab Swingers. We are Naughty Couple, spelled naughttycp1. Send us a message if you want to come in September.
Yeah.
Excellent.
And if you like me, who's got an incredibly sweet tooth.
You do like a little bit of cream, don't you?
Oh, I do. This is definitely the party for you.
Absolutely. And we will be back next week.
We will.
With even more shenanigans.
Oh, great word.
And until then, keep swinging.
Yes.
See you later.
Enjoy, my lovelies.
Enjoy the hot weather.
Get that vitamin D.
I'm going off now for a freezing cold shower. See you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
This week, I am mostly shoving my cock in people for research purposes.